Our webinar is now live, and we are delighted to welcome you to this Kilichon student panel. I know it's been such an intense time with visiting schools and all the additional programming options there are through these remote connections. And we have no PowerPoint for you tonight. We have no extended prepared remarks. We really just want you to be able to interact with us, to get a sense of the wonderful character of Kilichon, and particularly the wonderful Kilichon students. My name is Linda Dorr. I'm one of two associate directors at Kilichon. I'm a professor in the chemistry department. I have a lot of interactions on campus with undergraduate women in science and engineering. And I also teach in Kilichon. I have taught first year seminars, and I'm currently teaching in the junior year course. And my last task is now to introduce my dear colleague, Taryn Craig, who is one of our academic advisors and has a huge role in all of our spring recruitment efforts. So Taryn, please.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. As Professor Dora said, I'm Taryn Craig. I'm an academic advisor here at Kilichon. I also help to coordinate prospective and admitted student events like this one, as well as outreach initiatives with the help of the wonderful Kilachand Ambassadors student group. I've been working at Kilichon for 6 years now, and one of my favorite aspects of the program is definitely getting to know students for the duration of their 4 years during their undergraduate college experience, from orientation to graduation. I picked Bay State Road here as my virtual background, where you'll find Kilichon Hall. And I love it because of the leafy trees. They're always uplifting. It's part of my daily commute, and it's especially beautiful in the fall, as you see here. Over to Charlie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Charlie Mcmahon. I'm a sophomore majoring in human physiology in Sargent College. I'm from Norwell, Massachusetts, just about 40 minutes outside of Boston. And our virtual background tonight is from a fast food restaurant on our campus, Raising Cane's. It is one of my favorite places to eat at BU. They only serve chicken fingers, French fries, Texas toast, and coleslaw. When we are regularly in person, it is a great spot to check out after the hockey games. And it's just it's in West Campus. It's really fun to hang out with some friends. Just a good time all around. And I cannot wait to get back there once we're back in person again.
And my name is Aiden Cliff. I am Charlie's roommate, and I am also a sophomore, and I am a dual degree student studying economics within the College of Arts and Sciences and business analytics within the Questrom School of Business. I am from Billerica, Massachusetts, which is about half an hour north of Boston, and also attend Raising Cane's on a regular basis, especially after the hockey games. So I'm excited to speak to all of you tonight.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily. I'm a junior majoring in biomedical engineering in the College of Engineering, and I'm from North Andover, Massachusetts, which is also about 30 minutes north of here. And my virtual background right now is a picture I took underneath a very pretty pink tree on the Esplanade. It's one of my favorite study spots to go to when the weather is really nice. I set up a little towel underneath and my laptop and all my notebooks, and I just like to relax under the warm weather near the river and look at all the pretty trees in spring.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt. I'm a junior studying physics and philosophy in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm from California, so not 30 minutes away, a little further than that. And what I have as my background is Walter Brown. It's one of the 2 ice hockey arenas that we have here at BU, and it's located in West Campus. And the reason I chose it is because I often go here for practice, but it's also the first place that I came to when I toward BU, and has just a little special place in my heart.
Hi everyone, my name is Marissa. I'm a junior majoring in psychology in the College of Arts and Sciences with a minor in dance in the College of Fine Arts. I'm from Hopkinton, Massachusetts, which is also about 45 minutes away from Boston. And my virtual background is just steps away from the Esplanade. It is the BU beach. Even though it's really not a beach, it's BU's biggest green space and a really nice place to take a break from class, hang out with friends, and get away from the speed of the city.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, so as Professor Doris said, we encourage you to type your questions about student life into the Q&A box, and we will do our best to answer them live. We want this to be a conversation between you and our students, so please think up your questions and type away. First, though, I'm going to kick it off with my own question, which is a two-parter. Panelists, I'd like you to put yourself back in the shoes of your younger selves during your college search. When you were deciding where to go to college, what was it about BU and Kilichon that helped you to know that BU was the place for you? And part two, once you were here as an experienced BU student, what have been the things that continue to affirm that BU and Kilichon are still the right fit? So in other words, what brought you here and what's kept you here? I'd love to hear from at least three of you on this one.
I can kick us off because I think my story is kind of interesting. So when I was applying to colleges, I thought I really wanted to go far away from home. BU was actually the only school in Massachusetts that I ended up applying to. Beyond that, it was the only school in New England that I ended up applying to. But I think what really pulled me in, what sort of sealed the deal for me, was finding the human physiology program in Sargent College. If any of our participants out there have been to some of the Sargent info sessions, you might have heard me discuss this. But there was one day I was sitting in my AP biology class, and my AP bio teacher was an absolutely wonderful man, but was going on and on about plants. And I remember sitting and staring at the board and saying, oh my God, if I have to spend 4 years learning about plants any longer, I don't think I can do this anymore. So I knew that I wanted to learn about biology, but again, ecology, just not my thing. You know, if anybody out there studying ecology, nothing against you, it's a really great field, it's really important, we need ecologists out there. It just wasn't for me. So, you know, when I discovered the human physiology program, it really was just a perfect fit. It was everything that I was looking for. So that's sort of what initially pulled me into BU. Then when I sort of started to learn more about everything that Kilichon had to offer, the residential community, living in Kilichon Hall, having so many different co-curricular events, getting to take really amazing small classes. It sounds so cliche, but it just really was the perfect deal. And I just sort of had a gut feeling and said, this is it, I'm going to do it. And here I am today. Obviously, it's been a really great experience. I've loved it. That's why I'm here sharing my story with all of you guys. As to what specifically has kept me here, as you can tell, you meet some pretty awesome people in Kilichon. You make some pretty nice friends. You get to build really awesome relationships with your advisors. So that's what pulled me in, and that is what's keeping me here now.
Yeah, going off of that, the people, especially at Kilichon, are not only what made me choose to come to BU, but are also what has kept me super happy here. I remember actually the admitted students day that I went to and the luncheon that I went to at Kilichon. One of the ambassadors came up to me and struck up a conversation with me about what I was interested in. And then she got one of the professors who was present, who was a neuroscience professor, and I wanted to be a psychology major. So she brought him over to talk to me. And I was just so surprised that everybody was treating me with such care and concern, and they wanted to connect me with people that might have something interesting to tell me. And that was why I chose to come to BU. I felt like people really cared about you, especially at Kilichond. And that has been consistently true throughout all of my experiences at Kilichond, especially. I'm really sentimental. But I think with such a high achieving group of students, it would be easy for this group to be really competitive and cutthroat in some ways. And it's totally not like that at all. When somebody gets recognized by the UN or their paper gets published, it's a celebratory occasion for everyone. And that is a really special, extremely unique environment.
I can also speak a little bit on this. So for me, like I actually chose BU based on KHC, so I'm going to focus a bit more on KHC. But same thing as Marissa. I know the summer before freshman year at BU, when we were like kind of deciding, we had all these acceptances, like where are we going to go to? I joined a very, very active group chat full of all of the incoming KHC freshmen, and they were just sharing a bunch of information. We're all getting to know each other really well, and we would meet up at orientation. And I also got to meet up with some professors and faculty at BU and in KHC at the open houses. And that environment really kind of drew me in, because I knew as a freshman, or when I was in high school, I was very, very focused on STEM and only STEM. I liked engineering. I was in math team and science team, and I didn't really explore anything outside of my comfort zone. And I knew KHC would give me an opportunity kind of built into my schedule to explore other classes that I would never take in my engineering workload. And because I knew all the professors and faculty and students so well, I felt more comfortable leaving my comfort zone. And I've stayed here because looking back, there are so many things that I would not have done if it weren't for KHC. And I've grown so much as a student and a person because of these things that KHC has provided.
I need a moment to kind of wipe my eyes a little bit because all this is really wonderful and heartwarming, and I appreciate these reflections. Sorry, Professor Dora, did you?
No, this is a question. Is there a Discord or other social media group for KHC? Somebody under 25 has to answer that one.
I happen to be under 25, so I can definitely take on this question. There is, as I'm sure a lot of people have already seen, BU puts together Facebook groups for all of the class years, which if you haven't already jumped in those, that would definitely be a great resource to jump in. While those aren't specific to KHC, there is a separate Facebook group that is run by KHC. And that is really unique because it's not only specific to your class year, but it's with all current KHC students in it as well. So it's a really good experience to not only connect with people to your class, but connect with us or people who could be upperclassmen and really grow those connections along the way. As far as a Discord chat goes, there's not one specific to KHC, but there are Discord chats for other things around campus. I know there's like a BU fitness Discord chat and a BU Pokemon Go Discord chat and everything of the sort. So if you think of it, we probably have it, but if not, there's definitely something to make. And there's plenty of a platform to make it, and you're going to be able to find people to populate it as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, I have another question for you, and then I think we're going to bring in some of the questions that were posed because they're related. But you talked a bit about how the academic environment of Kilichon drew you in, BU as well, the kind of relationship between the course content. And I'm curious if you can tell our audience a little bit about the transition from high school to college, specifically about the academic environment, the expectations, the amount of independence you have in college over your learning, over your time management. How was this transition for you? What lessons did you learn that you can pass on to incoming students? In what ways did Kilichon support this transition?
I can definitely kick this question off. The biggest difference between college and high school when it comes to academics is definitely time management. I mean, high school, the traditional high school is you're taking like 7 or 8 classes and they meet every single day, every day of the week, and you're just going. And then you have either athletic practice or club practice right after school or anything of the sort. Whereas with college, you have a lot more flexibility. So if you're someone who doesn't like mornings, you don't need to take classes in the mornings, and that's completely okay. If you are an early bird, excuse me, you definitely can sign up for all of your 8 a.m. classes, and you have a lot of flexibility within yourself. That being said, every class doesn't meet every single day, and that reflects itself in your homework as well. Your homework assignments are going to be a lot different. Whereas high school, they give you kind of like a lot of busy work and nightly readings that you need to get done every single time. College is a lot more independent study. So being able to find outlets and make time to not only do the assigned work that they give you, but know that there's going to be a little bit extra that you should do as well to be prepared for any tests that are coming up on the horizon or any sort of big assignments like that. So time management is really the biggest difference between college and high school. And if you're not someone who's good at managing your time, that's completely okay, because the Kilichon courses are often really tiny. So you are able to build really good relationships with your peers and with your classmates. And chances are someone in one of your classes is going to be able to give you a few good tips as a friend or as a student on how to manage your time as well.
I can sort of go into the next one because time management is something that I still am working on and still kind of struggle with. And that was absolutely one of the tough transition points for me coming in. So my biggest tip, honestly, everybody here would laugh if I pulled up my Google Calendar from spring semester of last year, spring semester before, the world fell apart, when we were still on campus. I was like, I don't want to do morning classes. So I scheduled everything for the afternoon or later. It ended up being a complete disaster because I now had the mornings to sleep in. And so in my head, I was like, oh, if I don't start class until 1, I can sleep in, I can start my homework at 10, then I can eat lunch, then I can go to class. Unfortunately, it never worked out like that. So I realized probably a month in that this was not sustainable. So I went in and scheduled literally every single part of my day in my Google Calendar. I had my wake up time. I had scheduled time to take a shower. I scheduled time to eat all of my meals. I scheduled time to relax. I put in locations and everything. So you get those really annoying emails from your Google Calendar that says like, oh, it's time to leave now, or you're not going to make it there on time. For me, it was effective for about a week and a half. I was really sticking to this. Then after it sort of became habit, and I realized, you can't sit on your bed and watch TikTok for 2 hours. That is really not good for getting all your homework done. So yes, time management, absolutely important. Unfortunately, I think it's just something that kind of comes with time. You can try programming your calendar out like I did, but I think that's just one of those moments where you just have to push yourself into the deep end of the pool. And if you struggle with time management, feel free to reach out. I can offer you some of the tips that I have now, but absolutely, it's one of the learning curves that college throws your way.
Okay, we have another question from one of our guests. People talk about how Kilichon offers the, quote, smaller college feel at a big school. What can all of you say about KHC if you're a kid who doesn't really want to go to, quote, a big school?
I can actually take this question. So Kilichon is one of those things that I think you're really not going to find at any other school, because BU is a pretty big school. I mean, we have around 18,000 undergraduates, I think, and 12,000 graduate students. But the thing about Kilichon is that since you're living in in one building with however little other peers you have who are also living there with you, you never feel like you're exposed to the huge city or the huge student body that we have, because most of the time you're in the building making friends with, I don't know, 100 other kids or so. So you really begin to make a lot of close-knit relationships with the people that your roommates that you sleep with, the people that you eat food with every day, the people that you have classes with. So I really think that Kilichond is the pinnacle of smaller college feel at a big school. And you're absolutely not going to feel pressured by the huge city feel. But if you end up feeling, maybe I want to explore it, you're more than welcome to. And I don't think Kilichond inhibits any of that. But if you want to just, stay down low and just interact with the people in Kilichond, it's more than easy to do that. And I don't think you're ever going to get overwhelmed or you're ever going to get stopped from Kilichond. So I think it really has that nice two-way street.
Yeah, going off of what Matt said, I think Kilichond is probably the perfect program for you because it's much smaller than the vast majority of small colleges. In terms of your class size, you'll build a really strong sense of community with those people. But I think you would be surprised to find over time how comfortable you would be in a big school. Once you're exposed to professors that teach other disciplines than yours, you might be exposed to interests that you didn't even know you had. And then you may find, oh, I may want to take a class in the College of Communications or something in the College of Fine Arts. And those opportunities will be available to you because BU is such a big school. So it gives you all of the benefits of a small school, but also the flexibility that a big school offers. Because maybe if you had gone to a smaller school, not only would you not be exposed to those topics, but you wouldn't have the opportunity to explore them. So I think it's really good in both of those senses.
Okay, another question from our guest. Is it feasible to study abroad for 1 year if we have the extra, KHC students have the extra KHC workload? So I think Amanda Shelling is typing an answer to this, but I thought I'm sure many of you know about students who have gone abroad. So I thought I would give you the opportunity to chime in.
Yeah, I can take this one because I think I'm probably the only student here who's had the opportunity to study abroad. The short answer, yes, it's definitely feasible to study abroad for 1 year. The KHC curriculum is super flexible and your advisors will work with you to make that plan possible and still fit in all of the requirements that you need. In terms of study abroad, BU has over 100 programs in, I think, 40 or 50 or 60 countries. I had the opportunity to study abroad in Copenhagen, Denmark. It was the best experience of my life, even though it was cut short. So I highly recommend that you check out not only the Kilichon website to learn more about the curriculum, but also the study abroad website to see more of their programs.
Okay, oh my goodness, the questions are pouring in here. Let's see, do you guys have anything bit more to say on the subject of balancing the workload of an honors program along with other commitments such as other classes, clubs, or sports?
I can definitely speak to this one. Short answer is it's definitely feasible. As I said before, I'm doing a dual degree, so it's a little bit more of an increased academic workload in addition to Kilichon. And in addition to that, I'm still able to attend all of my club sports and any sort of my academic club meetings as well. I'm involved with the economics club and the consulting group here on campus, and I spend a lot of my time on the club roller hockey team. So another hockey guy, just like Matt Kim down there. But there's definitely it's not only able to do it, but I encourage you to do it as well. Because one of the big things about college is mental health is extremely important. And it's especially easy for any college student, much less a Kilichon student, to kind of be caught up in this academic bubble and just kind of be stuck in this perpetual system the entire time. But you need to find avenues to de-stress. For me, that avenue was being able to play and dedicate a little bit of my schedule every single week to go down to play club roller hockey and just hang out with my teammates and have some fun. But being able to find that avenue to de-stress is going to be significantly important to college, whether it be you go for a walk on the Esplanade, like a few of our panelists here have mentioned, or you find that academic club or that other sort of experience that is outside of your normal academic realm is going to be extremely important. Not only is it feasible, but it's highly encouraged to do.
Great, thanks, Aiden. How available are research opportunities and when can students start? So I supervise research students and I'm happy to take this one, but I wanted to give you guys the chance first.
I can answer this. So research opportunities at BU are one of those things that you can start anytime. You can start as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. I'm currently in some research and they're pretty readily available. But the thing is that you have to reach out to your professors. You can start at any time, but what really matters is that you go to your professors that you want to research under, and that you really show them that you care about what they do and that you really have a passion. Right now, I'm in a lab doing space physics, and I just was always interested in space, but I just really didn't have the time. So, but now that I'm a junior, I have a little more time in my schedule, so I just looked at his website. I found some of the papers that he was writing, so I read those on my own time, and I found, oh, this part was interesting. So I sent him an email, hey, this is my name. This is my background. I'm really interested in your work, in your paper X, Y, and Z. And this part in this paper was really interesting to me. And then he replied back, oh, I have room in my group. Would you like to join? And it's not always going to be smooth like that, but that's okay. The point is that you show these people that you have the know-how and you have the passion to pursue these things. So you can start really whenever. Fresh. I know one of my best friends got research the first semester of freshman year. So you can really start anytime.
Yeah, I will just add to what Matt has said, that reaching out is the way to go. But it's also perfectly okay to reach out with curiosity and naive questions, because what I, as a supervisor, am looking for is just somebody who's hungry to learn. And that you may be surprised to hear, many of us are involved in quite arcane subjects that people haven't heard about before, or where the details are relatively technical. And so don't expect that undergraduates will necessarily know that much, but if they're just curious and enthusiastic, that's great. And there are also many paths to contact with a professor besides taking a class directly with them. because all of the graduate students that you will meet who are TFs for your class, they're doing their own graduate research, and they're great connections to the people for whom they work or with whom they work, but also they will know a whole different aspects of the university that are not available at first glance to undergraduates. So there are tons of opportunities year round. We're about to kick off our summer research season at the end of May. Yeah, and as Matt said, there's so much around, you just need to ask. Okay, let's see, another question. What is rooming/dorming like at KHC?
I can touch upon this a little bit because I know I had a very unforgettable room experience dorming in Kilichon Hall, both my freshman and sophomore year. So in Kilichon Hall, most rooms are set up as their suite style, and it's usually 2 doubles connected. You have your own bathroom. There are a few that I think are just 1 double room, but for the most part, there are 2 doubles connected. And it's located on Bay State Road. I think this was brought up earlier, but it's a block away from the main Commonwealth Avenue road. So it's like you get kind of this residential feel while being not too far from the rest of like the busy city campus feel. But you still have like this quiet back area to go to. And the building has a first floor lounge area, which is like students use it for anything. There's co-curriculars or any like events or talks that go down like in that area. You have students studying, playing some like board games. There's a piano down there, I remember. So when things were in person, that area was busy quite frequently with a lot of students just getting to know each other. And there was, or there is, a 9th floor study lounge where students get together because everyone you live with is taking similar classes as you. So you'll find everyone from your classes getting together in little groups and doing homework. And I think the dorming experience that Kilichon offers is incredibly important as you transition from high school to college, because again, it gives you this smaller community feel where everyone you know is kind of in the same area. Whenever you walk around, you see someone you know, and there's always like a familiar face to talk to. So yeah, that's a rundown of the living experience, and I just think it was really, really helpful to have that.
Okay, we have another question related. Are there kitchens or cafeterias in Kilichon Hall?
I can take this. So there is a kitchen in the first floor of Kilichon that is only open during certain hours. So that's definitely not something that you would be able to cook 3 meals a day and take care of your food that way. Also, if you live in Kilichon Hall, it is required that you are on a dining plan. But that is a great resource if you want to make cookies and it's 8 p.m. on a Wednesday, you can go into the kitchen and do that. The dining hall is one of the 3 dining halls at BU is right across the street from Kilichon Hall, which is very convenient, especially in the snowy cold weather. And like I said, all students living in Kilichon Hall are required to have a dining plan, so you can eat there with convenience.
Okay, there's a forward-looking question. How has the KHC experience affected your future plans after BU?
I can start off. So I'll answer this in kind of a more abstract way than probably you were expecting. But I think looking really long-term, Kilichon has given me the comfort and confidence to explore things outside of my own field. I think if I hadn't done Kilichon, I would have thought, well, I've been taking psychology classes for 3 years, 4 years. My degree is in psychology. That's what I'm comfortable in. That's what I'm going to stay in. And being exposed to so many different disciplines and people who work in those disciplines and working on so many interdisciplinary projects, I've really had the comfort. I've gained much more comfort exploring things that are not comfortable to me and getting out of my comfort zone. So I think I will be much more flexible in the future and much more willing to take risks and venture outside of my own discipline.
Okay, thanks, Marissa. A question about where do Kilichon students live after their first year?
There is definitely not one clear path when it comes to BU housing. I know, I'm not sure if you've done any sort of snooping around on the BU housing website, but there is plenty of residential options. You're definitely going to be able to find something that suits your fancy. And the whole way the housing selection process works is through a very large lottery, which we do not have enough time in this hour call to explain how that works, but that's something that you will be exposed to when you come onto campus at BU. However, that being said, all Kilichon students live in Kilichon Hall for their first year, and the vast majority of them will stay in Kilichon Hall for their second year. And the honors college floors extends beyond the first three, where you will all live as a freshman, and they go up onto the fourth and the fifth floors as well, which can be a really cool and really unique experience. Because whereas you get to meet a lot of freshmen within your first year, when if you choose to live in Kilichon Hall and stay on those special floors for the honors college for your future years, you're going to be able to meet a lot of upperclassmen within Kilichon as well, which is something I touched upon a little bit earlier, but those relationships are really valuable, and they don't necessarily need to be like a mentor-mentee sort of relationship setup style to it, but being able to talk to someone, whether that they are not saying the exact same thing as you, or they don't have the exact same outlook on a particular topic that you have, can be a very insightful experience to have. So while most Kilichon students do live within Kilichon Hall for their sophomore year, there's a lot of them who travel as well.
Okay, one more dormitory question. The Kilichon floor plans make it look like you have to walk through one of the doubles to get to the shared bathroom. Can you describe what that layout is really like and how much that interferes with privacy?
So that is true for most. I mean, I can't speak to all of the suites in Kilichond, but to the suites that we've lived in, that is absolutely true. It's a little bit strange. The building is, it was built in the 1920s, so some of the architecture is a little bit funky. But we sort of established basic ground rules in our suite. You know, it's the bathroom, so you're going to have to be able to go to the bathroom when you need to go to the bathroom. So there was sort of a common shared understanding that we would keep the door between, at least in our situation, we would keep the door between the two rooms open so that we'd be able to get back and forth if we needed to. The one part that would get kind of tricky, you know, setting up shower schedules in the morning, obviously it's a lot more conducive than say Warren Towers or West Campus, where you have a floor of 20, 30, 40 people competing for, you know, 5 or 6 shower stalls. Here it's only 4, maybe 5 if you're living in a triple double suite. But I think it's just really important when you are coming into suite style living to have honest and open conversations with your roommates, discuss things like what time you usually go to bed, what your privacy expectations are. In a typical year when we're not running on the Learn from Anywhere format, chances are you're probably going to be outside of your dorm room for the vast majority of the day. While Kilichon is pretty central to campus, a lot of times it doesn't make sense to go to class than to come back to the dorm and to just keep running back and forth all day. So, you know, I would leave the dorm at, 9 or 10 in the morning, and I usually wouldn't come back until after my chemistry lecture on Tuesdays and Thursdays, for example, at like 6:30. So having those conversations, setting up expectations for each other, what time you're going to do homework, when you're going to study, what the bathroom situation is going to be, stuff like that. It's just really important that you have those conversations especially at the beginning of the year, before, some of those situations start to build up, or if you start feeling annoyed with your roommates, whatever the situation might be, you have sort of a agreed upon understanding, agreed upon terms for how you're going to handle conflict.
Yeah. And I know this question hasn't been asked yet, but I would like to talk about finding a roommate for a little bit, because I feel like it's the next logical step, and it'll probably come up at some point tonight. Charlie and I were roommates our first year, and we continue to be roommates now. There's basically a few avenues that you can utilize to find a roommate as a first year student. The first one can be whether utilizing the Discord chat that got sent that I did not know about, or the Facebook group or anything like that. And as I'm sure a lot of you have seen, everyone kind of puts up a post of like all their favorite Instagram photos and saying, I listen to this music, this is what I'm like, I go to bed at this time. And kind of you get a feel for who they are. And they always put like their social medias or their phone number at the bottom of that. That's the strategy that I used. I put together that post right there, and Charlie happened to see that post and he reached out to me. And things from there, we just kind of started texting a little bit, and things seemed natural and seemed like they could work. So we decided to run with it. And then he entered into the housing portal that we wanted to be roommates. If you aren't able to find a roommate on Facebook, do not panic. I feel like it's about 50-50 on students who come with roommates already prepared and students who decide to go random. And when I say go random, that does not mean they literally just put everyone into a big hat and then they start picking names, and that's how they decide roommates. If you do decide to go random, you're going to fill out like a little sort of a survey. It's more of like a compatibility survey. So it's like, I go to bed at this time, I like to shower at night, I like to shower in the morning, I like to listen to my music on a speaker or with headphones in, or I like to study in the room or outside of the room. And it basically runs all of the students' responses into like this really big algorithm. And then it spits out which roommates are going to most likely be the most compatible. And that works very well as well. I've had a lot of good experiences. While Charlie and I chose to be direct roommates, the two suite mates on the other side of our double suite were put there randomly. And one of them is our really good friends, and we're still living with him now. He's just not a Kilachand Ambassador, so he's not on the call with us. So both methods of finding a roommate can be extremely valuable, and definitely do not panic if you're not able to find one on the Facebook group.
Okay, a question about summer internships. How difficult is it to find one, and when does one need to start looking?
I can take this one. So BU, when you enroll in BU, you will be given access to Handshake, which is an amazing internship, job, even career fair platform for you to reach out to employers, search for internships that are related to your major that other people in your major have done in the past, and even see reviews of those internships and those employers to hear about that student's experience. That resource is absolutely invaluable. I cannot stress enough how helpful it's been to me, even when I'm not actively looking for an internship, to just search around and see what's out there and make lists of employers that I might want to apply to in the future. In terms of finding an internship, it's definitely going to be easier for you than it was for us these past 2 years. The pandemic has made things hard, but using that platform, going to a career fair, even though you guys are going to be first-year students, going to a career fair and connecting with employers, you never know what kind of opportunities they're going to offer you. They may offer you a summer internship on the spot after 10 minutes of talking with you. So I highly encourage you to go to career fairs and also use their search function to find internships. And in terms of applying, there's a pretty broad range, but I would say start early because that always helps. The earliest internship application deadlines for summer that I've seen have actually been in December. So I would say maybe do an initial quick look in November, see what's out there, and then maybe once a month, check back, see if any new things have been posted, because those deadlines can go all the way from December to May or June for internships that start in May or June. So just keep an eye out for things that might be interesting to you.
And I'd just like to make a plug / advertisement here for a relatively new initiative for internships for Kilichon students. It's called the Kilichond Internship Program. And it's running for the first time this summer, and it had a lot of enthusiasm, and we'll find out about the results, of course, by fall. But the idea is that you find someone you'd like to internship with. Perhaps it's a volunteer position. Then Kilichon will provide support to you for that program. All of this summer's Kilichon internship opportunities are around the theme of social justice, and I'm advocating that we're going to add environmental justice next year. So that's a relatively unique opportunity available to Kilichon students. And I wanted to echo what Melissa said, that the time frame for them varies very widely, in terms of what you're interested in. So ask early and often, and you'll be surprised what's out there.
I have a couple questions, and you all referred to a little bit about what your learning and studying and living experience has been this semester. But in thinking about the fall, we're envisioning an fully in-person experience of learning. living. What's it going to look like, daily life for you? Can you give us a little insight into just what a typical day would be, how you weave Kilichon into that? Where are you going on Comm Ave? Where are you seeing your friends? What do you see for yourself?
I can start this one off. I think a lot of us are really excited for that. I know I am. So I think one of the biggest things about this fall is that there are going to be a lot of new experiences for everybody, including myself. I mean, I've been going to BU for the last 3 years, but I mean, I've had maybe a year and a half before, we all got kicked off. But um, I think it's going to be a really good experience. And one of the things that I'm most looking forward to is hanging out with my friends again. And during this time where we're kind of all on campus but not really hanging out, I think one of the biggest things is that we've all been kind of going out on our own. It's nice to take a walk, de-stress from class. But the funny thing is that a lot of me and my friends is we've all found little spots that we've wanted to hang out with by ourselves. So we say, oh, in the fall, let's hang out here. This place looked really cool. Oh, let's go to the Esplanade again. Let's just sit out on Nickerson Field. So I think one of the biggest things that I'm really excited about is just finding random places to sit down and just say, hey, remember last year when we couldn't do this? Look at us now. I'm definitely most excited for that.
Okay, there's another question here from our audience. What is the relationship like between Kilichon and the rest of the school? How integrated do you all feel into the larger school population?
We get asked this question at, I think, every single admissions event that we do, but it's a great question. I like to think of Kilichon as a home base. It is your home community. It's the first people that you're going to meet, but certainly not the only or the last people that you will meet. I don't know a single Kilichon student that doesn't have tons of friends from their major or the clubs that they participate in, or the alternative service break that they went on their first year, or the job that they work at. And that's given me a really great opportunity, not only to meet my friends in Kilichon and meet my friends outside of Kilichon, but also to meet my friends in Kilichon's friends from outside of Kilichon. So while we have a really strong community and sense of home on campus, in absolutely no way, shape, or form is that going to prevent you from making friends outside of Kilichon.
Okay, sorry, I've had to learn a lot about all of this online chat question stuff, and it's harder when you're older. I think we are caught up. Does anybody want to add anything about the KHC experience, how this has affected your future plans? I'm sure for juniors, you're so looking forward to getting back on campus that it must be a little hard to think about, okay, wait, don't push me off campus yet. Yeah, any thoughts on that? So what I will say is not a student myself, but somebody interacting with them, I think the membership in Kilichon and the community and the living learning community constantly exposes all of us, myself included, to so many new windows on the world that I just didn't know about before. So I'm blessed with a steady job and a career, but if I didn't have one, I've got about 20 different things I would like to do. And so many windows have been open to me in my membership with Kilichon. So I just think it's, as has already been said, I think intellectually, this opens up a lot of ideas, and it can't help but influence what you see and whom you get to know. One of the ways that our current Kilichon students learn about this is every fall, we have several Kilichon alums come back and participate in a panel discussion to share what their lives are like post-Kilichon, and to reflect a little bit about the connection between the lives that they're living now, the paths they've taken, and how those were influenced by their experiences here at BU in Kilichon.
I can speak a little bit about this too. Only being a second semester sophomore, I think it's a little bit challenging and scary to think about life beyond BU. So far, I've gotten to the point where I feel really comfortable here, and that's sort of where my vision forward. When I think about the future, I think about the fall. Obviously, I have my grand plans, sort of what I want to have happen down the road in a couple of years. But I would say for me, this is going to be a little bit more specific, but being in the human physiology program in Sargent College and being on the pre-med track, I've always known that I wanted to go into medicine. I think it's just one of those callings that people have. It's really hard to explain, but it's just something that clicks within you. And for me, I've just, like I said, ever since I was a little kid, I've always sort of known that I wanted to go into medicine. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to work to help people, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. For those of you who sort of have similar ambitions, medicine is a really broad field with lots of applications. Even, health science in general, there are so many different directions that you can take it in. So when I came into Kilichond, I sort of had some sense of what I wanted to do, but sort of navigating through the curriculum, learning about, this is going to sound cliche, but learning about the world and everything that's out there and all the challenges, all the problems that different populations, different people are facing, it's really sort of opened my eyes to different areas of need. So right now I'm actually taking a public health class with a Kilichon professor, Sophie Godley. She's a dual professor in Kilichon and in the School of Public Health. And while this is not a Kilichon class per se, the class is about the essentials of public health. It ties in nicely to some of the work that we're doing in our global challenges class right now, HC 302. So sort of synthesizing those experiences, I've sort of come to realize that, for me, going into healthcare, going into medicine, I want to work with infectious diseases. I want to work on, a global scale, treating these problems that seem really distant for a college student in Boston, but I think are really, really important. And I know that sounds super vague, but that's sort of where I'm at, trying to figure out the vagueness, get through the next 2 years, and then figure out where that path goes from there. But I guess that's where I'm at for right now, halfway through.
Okay, just for everybody to know, we're going to probably wrap up in about 10 minutes or so. There's a couple more questions that have come in. This is a big question. What is the workload for the Keystone Project like? And part 2 is, any advice on how to find topics?
I can start this one off because I'm actually working on my Keystone at the moment, even though I'm a junior. That's not required. You don't have to work on your Keystone as a junior. I'll start off by saying that. The workload for the Keystone Project can vary. So there are 2 different pathways through the Keystone. You can either do an honors in your major or department. So that would be, say, for me, because I'm a psychology major, an honors thesis with the psychology department, which is a 1-year structured research project that I would mostly do with advising from the psychology department rather than with an advisor through Kilichond. But that can apply as your Keystone Project also. The other pathway through the Keystone Project is the Keystone Project itself, which I know that terminology can be a little confusing if you're not looking at a diagram that explains it. But the Keystone Project itself is designed to be a more interdisciplinary, creative project that may not fit into an honors thesis in your department. So, for example, my Keystone Project is a poetry collection on the psychology of well-being. That does not fit anywhere except Kilichon, and I feel super lucky that Kilichon is supporting me in that project. In terms of the workload, it's about 1 class's worth of work. So you either take 4 credits if you're doing an honors thesis in your department, or 2 credits if you're doing the Keystone Project. And you'll work on that project both semesters your senior year. And depending, if you do the Keystone Project, you'll do the Keystone Proposal Workshop either in the fall or spring of your junior year to come up with your project. And for me, I took that in the fall of my junior year. So I've actually been chipping away at parts of my Keystone Project during this year, but the majority of the work will be senior year. In terms of advice for finding topics, I'm glad you asked this question because I got a piece of advice at the Kilichon alumni panel that I've needed to pay forward because it's been really important to me. I would recommend you do something cool and fun with your Keystone project. You are never going to have the opportunity to do absolutely whatever you want that is like feasible and ethical ever in your life. You're not going to have the opportunity to get funding for that and to have support for that project. Do a passion project. I cannot stress enough how much that piece of advice that I got gave me the courage to do a poetry collection on psychology as my Keystone project. And that's just been super important. So if there is something that you are really passionate about, even if you don't know a lot about it or you don't have a lot of experience in it, I really recommend that you pick a passion project for your Keystone. And you'll also have a lot of support in developing the actual project. So don't feel like if you have an initial idea, you need to figure out all of the details on your own. The Kilichond staff and faculty are here to support you and help you figure those out.
I can also speak to this a little bit, just because I am just starting out on like planning out my Keystone project, and I'm actually taking the pathway through the College of Engineering Senior Design Project. So my senior design will double as my Keystone project. And just over this past class registration, I registered for a course fall semester my senior year for senior design, which is when I get assigned an engineering advisor to kind of help me get through this process and guide me through potential ideas, what are my interests, and almost draw out like everything I'm interested in, what I already know, what I want to learn, and help me formulate this plan. And I have a lot of friends who have already gone through this entire process. I actually have a little booklet in my dorm right now full of past senior design projects in BME. And I've noticed that a lot of the advisors that people are assigned are not only like researchers within BU, but also if that student already has an internship opportunity or a job somewhere in the city, they can actually use that research and apply that as their senior design. So in that sense, you can really do any topic you're interested in. You're not limited to trying something completely new. If you're already working on something on your own by any chance prior to this, you can continue to develop that with the resources that BU is providing you with. So you have like a lot of freedom to really go about this however you want.
Okay, I think we'll take one more question here. I love this question, but I will encourage our panelists to jump in. How have KHC classes complemented your own major? And does KHC provide depth as well as breadth?
I can take this question. As I said before, I am taking a lot of economics and business courses right now. And speaking to the breadth of KHC, it's definitely provided me a new point of view that I'm able to take into my economics and my business classrooms as well. A lot of the KHC courses, specifically the sophomore year courses, are about social activism, environmental policy, and kind of human rights and the importance of all of these things and how they're all related to each other. And by taking all of these courses, it's allowed me to not only kind of take a break and have a mental reset from all of my usual academic coursework, but it also allows me to use all of these new point of views and perspectives to look at my normal academic coursework in a new light and a new point of view, which allows me to kind of have a newfound appreciation for a lot of what I'm studying. As far as depth goes, Kilichond also provides that for your courses as well. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of something called or had a run-in called the Hub, which is basically BU's general education requirements. And one thing that KHC does really, really well is get you through the Hub very quickly, quicker than the average BU student, I would say, because you're able to hit a lot of these kind of more niche general education requirements within the Kilichon curriculum. So by being able to complete the Hub at a faster pace, you're going to be able to take more classes, not towards general education, but you're going to have the abilities to transfer those credits over to take something that you're more interested in. So whether it be an advanced economics course or an advanced business course or whatever your major may be, Kilichond is going to be able to kind of free up that credit load to allow you to take that course that you weren't able to before and explore those interests as Marissa was saying before. So KHC can do both. It can provide you depth as well as breadth throughout all parts of the curriculum.
And just to kind of right off of that, I think one of the biggest things that most people don't realize coming into KHC is that these classes are, meant to be widespread. I mean, I'm a physics and philosophy major, but I've taken actually a class with Professor Dora here, material science. But I also took a seminar on the history of World War One, the history and culture of World War One, which is something that most people in my field of study wouldn't take. So you can kind of see how the breadth of Kilichon really takes you to places where you would normally not go. But it also is taught, these seminars are taught by professors in that field who really care about their subject. So I feel like a lot of people kind of might get the idea that these professors are just Kilichon specific professors that are just forced to teach this course about history that they don't care about. But these professors who teach these courses are experts in their field, and they care so much about passing on their own knowledge, and also they care about you because it's a seminar class. They're very small, so you will get very, very deep into these topics. I mean, I know with Professor Dorr, I learned a lot about our material world and resources that I probably would never have taken otherwise, and I'm all the better for it. So I think breadth is definitely one of the advantages, but don't not expect the depth, because you will get very, very deep into these subjects.
Any closing remarks from any of our panelists before we wrap up?
Would you like us to describe Boston in 6 words?
I like that one. I'd love to hear it, Marissa. What do you got?
Okay, my words don't go together, so they're like on their own. I said young, vibrant, intellectual, historic, windy, really, really windy, and home.
Anyone else?
I had to cheat and go down to 5 words because I just thought it worked, and I didn't want to try to force it into something else. But I came up with college town, but on steroids.
Anyone else? Those are interesting words to end on, but I think our creativity shines right through, and all of you in the audience will have your initial impressions of Boston to develop hopefully in the coming year. We thank you so much for joining us. You had amazing questions. If you have any follow-up questions or further ones, please reach out to the Kilachand Ambassadors. So our current students here, let me pop the link in the chat so that you can find them. All of their contact information and bios are there. There's also Kilachand Ambassadors blog. Check out that to learn more about student life. If you've missed any of the previous sessions, visit the Admitted Student Resources page on our website. You can check out the recordings under the April Open House Programming dropdown. Put that in there too. And finally, you're invited to join us for the Kilichon Keystone Symposium to learn more about Kilichon Keystones, creative projects, research, all the different pathways. And there's virtual programming both Saturday and Sunday. So one more thing for you to check out. I know you're probably overloaded with virtual programming, but we want to see you one more time as you make your final decision. So thank you so much, everyone.
This has been great to have all your questions. Thank you again for joining us, and have a very lovely evening.
Good luck with your decisions.